Music. Okay, sorry. Oh, time flies. Sifu, Brother Joe Huang, Hualin Dharma team, and brothers and sisters around the globe. 听到吗？好像听不到。Sorry, testing. Is it okay? Can anyone hear us? Oh, I think can. You are it? Oh yes. Okay. Sorry. Before we hear review of Wondrous Lotus Sutra, let us pay our respects for these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Zhen Yan by making 3 sincere bows. Please rise. Palms together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. And a bow to our beloved Sifu who could join us today. Cảm ơn. Oh, okay, over to you, Brother Joe. Cảm ơn.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thanks to everybody for coming to join us again. And as we have stepped into November, the weather here in Taiwan has changed a bit cooler. And I think in another week or so, many of you will be coming to Taiwan for the certification process. And it's one of the very important time of the year for Tzu Chi, as we are now once again gaining more bodhisattvas in the world that are doing what is necessary and what is right, and what is necessary, what is needed to do. So today we're going to continue with a Lotus Sutra review, and this particular review today, we're going to first talk about last week. We talked about the right medicine, where the medicine is, it of course has several different parts to being right. First of all, you have to make the correct diagnosis, knowing what the problem were from the symptoms, knowing the source of, knowing the cause of the problem, and knowing how the problem occurs, and knowing the symptoms, and then finding the right medicine, finding the right thing that would just be correct to treat the problem and not having overbearing side effects, and also determining the treatment, how we should do this, how we should take the amount, what's the appropriate the amount, what is the appropriate way to treat and to apply the medicine. And finally is to apply, is to do what you plan out to do what you believe is the right thing to do to fix the problems. So those are the 4 things that we talked about last week, about what the right medicine were. And if you remember, towards the end, we talked about one of the possibility that the right medicine itself isn't the medicine per se. It is actually the fact to awake all the inherent Buddha nature in all of us, that we have the ability to find the medicine ourselves, and we have the medicine all along. And it's not just the medicine left by the doctor, left by the Buddha, but that we are the medicine and we have the medicine. So that was one of the key realization coming from the stories that were prevalent in this week. So this week, the summary, we're going to talk about the first topic, skillful means, with a question mark. And then we're going to talk about Buddha's presence. So let us go into the first topic, skillful means. So I'm sure we all have already known about Buddha used many skillful or expedient means, using parables and using stories, and sometimes using different ways to try to bring out a particular issue, a particular point. And the story that we have coming from the Buddha was that the great doctor and the children. Okay, so this is the excerpt from the sutra itself. So the children obviously have been poisoned. They have been playing and they don't know better, and so then they have been poisoned. the father, being this great doctor, already fixes the medicine for the children, except the children are unwilling to take it because they're already of the poison. Okay. Now, so in the Sutra, it says, the father thinks to himself, my poor children, because of the poison in them, their minds are completely befuddled. Although they're happy to see me and ask me to cure them, they refuse to take this excellent medicine. I must now resort to some expedient means to induce them to take the medicine. So we already knew, just like in chapter 3, the parables, where there is the great house that is burning, right? And in order for the father of the household to get all the children out to safety, when the children don't even realize that there is a burning house, what did the father do? The father induced, using some expedient means, to induce the children to get out of the house. So now here it's the same thing, right? You have the illness, you have the poison, the children are ill, children are sick, and you have the father who has the medicine, but the children won't take it, even if the children are very happy to see the father and very happy to know that the father can cure them. So the father says, I must resort to some expedient means to induce them to take the medicine. So the father says to the children, you should know that I am now old and worn out, and the time of my death has come. I will leave this good medicine here. You should take it and not worry that it will not cure you. Okay, so over here, the Buddha or the doctor is saying that, well, I'm old and worn out, and my time has come, and there's not much time left. But however, all the medicine that will help you is right here, and you should take it. So that's leaving with a reminder. And having given these instructions, the doctor goes off to another land where he sends a messenger home to announce your father is dead. So that is the story that we that we remember. Okay. So at that time, the children, so the story continues. The children, hearing that their father has deserted them and died, are filled with great grief. The grief of losing the father, but also great nervousness, bewilderment, uncertainty, because they think to themselves, if our father were alive, he would have pity on us as we are all poisoned and befuddled, and see that we are protected. But now he has abandoned us and died in some other country far away. We have become orphans with no one to rely on. That's a realization. The realization for the children that now they have no one to rely on. Because if the father were alive, they would have something to rely on, someone to rely on. But now the father is gone. They have become orphans. And what would they do? And so constantly with such feelings of grief, the children at last come to their senses and realize that the medicine is in fact excellent. Well, in both color and fragrance and flavor. Okay, so it was made, tailored for what they need. And so then they take it and healed for all the effects of the poison. Okay, and of course the father didn't really die. He was just really sending the messenger to tell everybody that he has really died. So the father, hearing that his children are all cured, immediately returns home and appears to them all once more. So this is the story so far. And the story is sort of ended here with the poisoned children and the doctor, father that's a doctor. So the Buddha asked the question, good man, what is your opinion? Can anyone say that this skilled physician is guilty of lying? And this is where we come to. How far does the skillful means go? How far is too far for an expedient means? We always talked about, does the end justify the mean? If what you're talking about is that we are trying to do something good for the children, and therefore we lie to them, it doesn't consider a lie. And the reason why I brought this up was because when I finished the story, I remember it was last week, I asked one of our gongxiu, and we're sitting there, and when we returned to our dorm along the way, I asked him, Do you think that this is the right thing, that the end justifies the mean? I mean, essentially, the physician is already lying. The physician lied about dying, right? And it's very evident because the Buddha immediately asked what everybody thinks, meaning that maybe not at present at the time of the Buddha, but he knew that in the future, there would be these group of people or many groups of people who would question, how could you lie? Even if your intentions are good, how could you lie? Okay, so that's why the Buddha asked, good man, what is your opinion? Can anyone say that this skilled physician is guilty of lying? And what did the good man say? No, it's not lying. No, it's not lying. Okay, so this is what Master says in response to explaining what this part was about. So the Master says, the father is very clear on how he would use wisdom to save his children. There is nothing untruthful or unwholesome. He thought about how to induce his children to take the medicine, using skillful, expedient means without any untruthful or unwholesome intentions. Okay, and it continues. Master continues. The Buddha expound the principles with skillful and direct ways, both skillful and direct ways. There are no right or wrong, as the means are according to the capacities of the sentient beings, of the children, of the people that are listening to allow the sentient beings to receive the teachings. And the reason why I brought this up was because I really want everybody to sort of know this, that yes, there are sometimes questions that we have about particular verse in the sutra. Yes, there are sometimes questions that we have that make us think, but wait a minute, does that make sense? But wait a minute, is that right? And I want to bring up another another example that actually we have heard, and it's a true story. So you know that in our Tzu University, the students, we have Yide, or their pseudo parents that are our brothers and sisters, our Dharma family. So then these children are taken care of, even though they're away from home. They still have people that care for them, just like their family right here in Hualien or elsewhere. And so one of the instances was that usually a commissioner would have, say, a group, maybe 3 or 4 commissioners, and they would be taking care of a larger group of children, of students in the university. And one of the cases that we heard was that these mothers, these moms, these Yide moms, or our volunteers, they meet maybe like once a month or maybe twice a month. And when they go meet the students, the children, they really want to do what they think is best for them. So they go there and they see how they have become thinner, and how they're thinking that maybe you guys don't eat it well, you don't eat good enough in school, because the school gives you very few food, not a lot of food, and it costs money. So when the mother is there, they're going to take them to something that's great, great restaurant, to dine out, to eat something that's really nice. And so what do they take them? They take them to eat non-vegetarian food, because they think that they need non-vegetarian food. So, and upon people asking, and they question, are we doing the right thing? Aren't we supposed to be vegetarian? And especially now that we are in our uniform, and we're taking these young people, and why are we taking them to non-vegetarian food? Why are we taking them to eat meat and non-vegetarian? And their reply would be, well, first of all, they need the nutrition. Second of all, it's important because they have been away in school, and all they eat are vegetarian food. And so in order to foster good bonds with them, to have good rapport with them, you take them to eat meat, and they would think that you understand them, and they will be closer to bonded closer with you. And that's just a case where I would have to say that it's called deviation. It's deviated from our intention, okay? Because while it's good for you to think of ways to try to foster a stronger bond with the children that you're caring for, or in this case, children, it could be your care recipient, it could be your parents, it could be anybody. But it's important for you to want to have a stronger relationship with them. But at the same time, are you doing the right thing? And so that's why here it has come to my attention that the Buddha asked the question, does it count as lying? And I have to say that even with given the good intention, you have to be very careful about the things that we are doing. Are you telling the right thing? Are you really telling the children that the father has died? And is that the only way to convey the message? So on this, Master says, once the teaching has been accepted by the sentient beings, so this was continuing from what what the Master was talking about before. Once the teaching has been accepted by the sentient beings, by the children, it is beneficial to them. Even if it were done with skillful means, it is beneficial to them. And this was very key. This was very key. First of all, how do we rationalize this? Or how do we say that it's lying or it's not lying? Second of all, how do we know if it's beneficial? And to me, I just know that taking the children to eat meat is not even considered to be skillful means. It's not. Because you are doing something that is not beneficial, to the children at all. And it is not right. You're not teaching them the right things. You're not teaching them the right lessons. You're not guiding them with the right principles. You're just trying to show them that it's okay. And therefore, maybe they would agree with you and maybe they will listen to you. But that's not the way how it's supposed to work. On the other hand, coming back to this example, why is it that it was okay for the Buddha to say something that might seem to be unreal or untruthful? And I think back and I thought about when we were growing up, there's always these particular folklore or myth. For example, what's on the moon? And Santa Claus, right? Christmas is coming. And is there really a Santa Claus? And the key issue is that are the parents lying to you when they are telling you that there is Santa Claus, where after you grow up, after you have become adolescent, or after you have read something, you know that maybe perhaps with now science cannot prove that there is there is Santa Claus, right? So why is it okay? So even if it were done with skillful means, it's still beneficial to them. And that is why it is okay. The only reason that I thought it was okay was because the Buddha, with all of the wisdom and all of the years of the eons and of kalpas, that treating the illness of the patients, of the sentient beings, he knew what he needed to do in order to get this done, in order to get everybody to find out, to accept the teaching that is truly beneficial. And this is very different from our commissioner who took the students to eat meat or to dine in non-vegetarian meals, because they don't know how else to be able to let these students open themselves up to accept the teachings. And I think that was the main difference, is that yes, they're both done with intention to try to benefit. However, one has come on with path that is already done and well tried, and also years and years and years of experience, while the other is very lacking in skillful means and therefore can only resort to something that they think might be right. And once again, that is why at the beginning of the Lotus Sutra, Buddha says you must have such faith. Otherwise, you're only going to not believe or even defame this sutra. And it was only after Shariputra's begging, 3 times asking for the Buddha to expound the Dharma, that the Buddha finally agreed to expound the Lotus Sutra. And it's not even just then, back in chapter 2. It's also now where Maitreya, Bodhisattva Maitreya, asked the Buddha, please tell us, and please tell us 3 times. And the Buddha rejected him and said that you will not understand unless you are truly believing. Same thing here. If we truly believe that the Buddha knows what is best necessary for his children, for his disciples, then we must believe that once we understand and we hear the teaching, that this was done skillfully, that it is beneficial. And that is why we can debate here, sit here and debate to no end. But if we believe, and that's the premise, if we believe that the Buddha understands and is all wise about what this is doing, then we can believe that this is the right path and this is the right skillful means. So it all goes back to, do you believe? Because we can pick apart all the words that the Buddha says, but the most important thing is, do we actually have what it takes to believe? Because the Buddha already said, if you want me to continue this, you must believe what I said. Otherwise, it would just be nothing but words that will only be used when taken apart, will be used against each other. And therefore, we must really believe. Okay. So I hope that everybody can reply with a resounding no. And the reason isn't because it is not lying. And you know, I know people would say, well, then tell me the definition of lying. The lying means you're not telling the truth. And did the Buddha pass away? The Buddha didn't pass away, but he said he did. So does he tell the truth? No. If he didn't tell the truth, that fits the definition of lying, and therefore he lied. See, this is our own logic befuddling ourselves. And it goes into our next topic, Buddha's ever-presence. The Buddha says, and this is in the sutra, I'm always here preaching the law. I'm always here. Through my powers, I appear to have entered nirvana. Thus, sentient beings in their befuddlement do not see me even when close by. This is what I'm talking about. When we're so busy thinking about, is this considered a lie? Is the Buddha lying just to get us to see the bigger picture? We, in our befuddlement, do not even see the main point when the Dharma is right next to us. Through the powers that the Buddha has, he showed as if he had entered nirvana to make all the children believe that the father has gone far, far away and already died. That's through what he can do. And he sent the messengers to tell the children, your father is dead, gone. But at the same time, we, the sentient beings, in our befuddlement to thinking about, yes, you know, Buddha, you asked the right question. Is it really lying? I don't really know. I can't tell. It looks like you're lying. And in our befuddlement, we don't even see me. This me isn't the Buddha, but this me represents the true principle that even when it's so close by, we don't see. So it answers this question. How is it possible that we do not see the Buddha when the Buddha is so close by? Why? Because as I mentioned before, I think it was 3 weeks ago, in order to receive the Dharma, we have to open our hearts, open our mind, to be willing. But when our mind is filled with affliction, filled with questions and doubt about maybe the Buddha didn't do the right thing, maybe the master didn't say the right thing, maybe the translation is wrong, maybe whoever that was doing the translation didn't know best, didn't know better, and therefore the translation is wrong. Maybe whoever that read this text was wrong. Maybe Ananda remembered it incorrectly. Having all these doubts make us unwilling, unable to receive the Dharma, even if the Dharma is right next to us. Even if the Buddha is standing right next to us, we will not be able to receive the teaching because we're unwilling to listen. And it goes back to that story that I shared 3 weeks ago, that Buddha told his son, Rahula, that take the bucket here. And when there's a bucket, the Buddha flipped it upside down this way and pour the water in. But as you know, the bucket upside down would not be able to hold any water. Same thing. We're not willing to listen. We're not willing to receive. Even if the water is coming down, the bucket is bottom up, and therefore you cannot receive anything. Or if the bucket is this way, but it's already filled with filthy water, it's already filled with affliction, then you're not going to be able to receive any Dharma the same way, because we're busy looking elsewhere. We're busy in our befuddlement because we don't understand and we don't have that faith. So, and this brings up to the next part. Really, is that once again, the Buddha, once he had using his power entered nirvana, he said that there are living beings, sentient beings in other lands who are reverent and sincere in their wish to believe and learn. Then among them, I will preach the unsurpassed law. But you have not heard of this, so you suppose that I enter extinction. This is precisely the very sad part and the very truthful part, in that there are others. While I am still befuddled in thinking about, did the Buddha lie? Did the master lie? Did somebody mistranslate it? Did somebody misinterpret it? Did somebody put the wrong words? They translate this word to that, but it's not this word to this. While I am still confused or debating about that, the Buddha or the master is right next to us and preaching the same law to other people who are willing to believe, to other people who are willing to learn. But you are so busy thinking in your own affliction, so you have not heard of this, and you think that really there was a problem and that the Buddha, that the Dharma has really gone and disappeared. And isn't that what we are seeing and how we feel right now? However, in this week, there was a segment that I think is a saving grace, that I think is the one that saves all of us. And this is also part of the sutra. When living beings have become single-mindedly desiring to see the Buddha, not hesitating even if it costs them their lives, then I and the assembly of monks appear together on Wondrous Peak. And this means that when all the disciples or all the sentient beings once again devote themselves, it's not so much single-mindedly, but more devoting with only one intention of learning the sutra, learning the Dharma. When all have become also desiring to see the Buddha, not hesitating even if it cost them their lives, then the Buddha will once again appear. And that's what I believe. Why is it that the Buddha could be standing right next to us, so close to us, but we do not see? Why? It's not the superpowers of the Buddha to appear transparent to us so that we don't see, but it's rather our own. And that is so much the reason why Master always tell us to be mindful, to look with your ears, and to see with see with our ears, and to listen with our eyes. And all of that was just to tell us to use our heart to look and use our heart to listen, because using our eyes, we can't see. Using our ears, we can't hear. And that is why Master always says, use our heart. And beyond that, she has been saying, turn the consciousness into wisdom. Because only when we turn will we begin to use our eyes beyond our normal sight. Will we begin to use our ears beyond our normal hearing, that we would be able to see the Buddha and the Dharma right next to us and realize that they have not left us at all. So when it says here, when living beings have become single-mindedly desiring, it actually doesn't mean you're so single-minded that you don't understand. No, it actually means that when they have put their heart, in the Chinese, it's actually one heart, single heart, to see the Buddha. It means just like what Master always tells us, be mindful. Be mindful with what you see, what you hear, what you feel. Because if you put your mind and heart to it, you will realize the Dharma and the Buddha never left us. So we can still do this if we put our minds to it. Lastly, I want to come back to the age of Buddhism. We talked about this last week. There's the age of the right Dharma, the semblance Dharma, and the degenerative Dharma. Once again, we are now at the age of degenerative Dharma. So many things have already gone and people are deviated and always questioning things. And I always believe, just like last week I said, I always believe that this was the age of these three ages are happening very slowly through time. The first age is 500 years. The second age is 500 years. The third age is 10,000 years. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen, go from age 1 to age 2 immediately, instantly. It actually goes through time. So I am hoping that if we can follow the teachings of our master, if we can follow the teachings, then we will be pushing against this leaning tower of Pisa, right? It's slowly leaning this way. And it's slowly from right Dharma to semblance Dharma to degenerative Dharma. But we can push it backwards and say, yes, we're going to look with our ears. We're going to listen with our eyes. We're going to be mindful. We're going to try to remember that, always remember and believing, and therefore we can feel that the Dharma and the Buddha never left us, have always been with us. So yes, there are befuddled children that still think that the Buddha had already entered nirvana, but there will be those of us who are ready and prepared, and we will be able to take the teachings and be able to push against this age of degenerative Dharma and go back to the age of semblance Dharma and go back to the age of right Dharma. So that is my belief, and I think that's also Master's mission as well. So thank you, and that's my sharing for today. I'm sorry, a little bit over time. And now I'm going to hand it over to Sister Xiaoxing for today's sharing. Thank you.
Kind Brother Joe for the wonderful sharing. Sorry, just now we started a bit late. Okay, today we have great sharing from Singapore. Sister Jane. Okay, Sister Jane.
Can you hear us and see us?
We can hear you clearly, but not yet. The image we can't see yet.
Can't start video. Oh, come again. Hang on. Just a while.
Okay.
So 等一下，又是那个 video 的事情。你看到在哪里吗？上来 video OK。在哪里？这个是 sound 的对吗？对，不是 sound。OK。这个 video 应该没有 video 的。我本来就这样讲了，没关系。OK。Where's the thing now? Where's the screen? 可以，没关系。你看一下，刚刚讲一声。OK， 他们听得到我们讲话。You can hear us, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Maybe you can
Okay, sorry, I think the video is giving some problem again. Maybe today will be a very interesting session to focus on hearing Sister Lisa from sharing first.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sister.
Okay, I'm Lisa. I'm a TIMA member. Where I was invited to give a sharing because, excuse me, I represent TIMA because being a pioneer in TIMA, I thought since we are also doing Xing Fa Xiang every morning, I thought I should take this opportunity to share my Xing Fa Xiang experience. Okay, in fact, in Singapore, we started island-wide Xing Fa Xiang in January 2014, and since then we started in Jing, and since then we have spread to about 6 places in different location. Now I'm at Book Cafe, and Jing Book Cafe is the latest Xing Fa Xiang location in Singapore. And me being staying very near Book Cafe, it's only within walking distance, about 8 to 10 minutes walk in the morning. I thought I should persist with the Xing Fa Xiang because Singapore is such a safe place. Even though when I I come out from my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, the street is as bright as my home. So there is no reason why I shouldn't come every morning. Of course, some morning, when I was too tired, or sometimes I was a bit slacking, I might decide to sleep for another 5-10 minutes, but I would still try to make it every morning to come Xing Fa Xiang. Okay. Now, since June this year, Master has gently told us during the 4-in-1 camp training that, it's about time Singapore try to recruit 1 million kind-hearted Singaporean to get involved in Tzu Chi mission. And then though Master just gently mention it, but we Singaporean being an obedient disciple, we took it into our heart. So we started this 1 million kind soul-hearted people. It inspired us. All of us started this trend of recruiting members. So we started. And why Master just gently talk about it, why we take it into heart to do it, is because of Xing Fa Xiang. We Xing Fa Xiang every morning, and at the same time, we also listen to Master teaching every day through our Thai TV. So with Dharma in our heart, okay, because we believe in Master. We have strong faith in Tzu Chi. So we thought, since Singaporean, there are 5 million Singaporean, more than 5 million residents in Singapore, and Master wants us to recruit 1 million kind-hearted soul. There must be a reason for it. And the reason we can guess. Everybody have their own guessing, but there is one true fact is that we want to purify people's heart, 净化人心. So with this belief and with this faith, we all go for it. And to reach 1 million people, is it easy? Will we meet our target? We will one day, but it will not be immediate, right? So, but does it matter if we don't reach the target? yes or no. But if we do it, one day we might reach our target. Just take for example, when every morning after Xing Fa Xiang, we will go for breakfast. I have seen this couple at the hawker center every morning at the vegetarian store, drinking tea and had their breakfast. And I thought, hey, since I see him every morning, he will be my target. So me and my friend approached him one morning. So to start with, we introduce ourselves. We are Tzu Chi volunteer. Then he just looked at me. Then I start introducing Tzu Chi, say, oh, we are Buddhist Foundation. And guess what he said? Oh, I'm a Christian. So I say, it doesn't matter, okay? Whether Christian or Buddhist, we are all one family. And he was kind enough to have conversation with me. He didn't brush me off. And we have conversation for 10, 15 minutes. Of course, he has his say, I have my say. But he doesn't know Tzu Chi. I talk about Tzu Chi, and I talk about Tzu Chi, what Tzu Chi do globally, what Tzu Chi do in Singapore and all that. And he, of course, at first he was sort of like skeptical about, oh, what you say, is it true? Then of course, I have to give it a lot of examples. And at the end, he listened to me. We discussed about what charity is all about, what it meant by to be kind to people and all that. And at the end, of course, I was not successful in recruiting him, but at least he listened to me. At least I have spread Tzu Chi love to him, and I planted a seed in him. And hopefully, one day when the time is right, I might be able to recruit him or another volunteer who happened to see him and talk to him about Tzu Chi. He might become one of our million kind-hearted souls. You see, of course, these days I still see him almost every morning. I still greet him good morning every time I see him. So I mean, I have created a good affinity with him. And this is what we all are doing, you see. We go out and spread Tzu Chi to people, and not to say that, oh, you must be a Tzu Chi member, you must donate. But we are spreading love because Singapore, there are 5.5 million people in Singapore, but I should say maybe only less than a quarter or 1/5 of Singaporeans know about Tzu Chi ever exists in Singapore. So with this blessing from Master and with Xing Fa Xiang that we do every morning, give us this courage. As what Master say, listening to Dharma, apart from listening, we have to go out and reach to the masses, reach out to people and spread about Tzu Chi and let people know about what Tzu Chi is all about. And why we want to do this, and it's because we have faith in Master and we have faith in Tzu Chi. Okay. I think the time is about quite limited, so I will stop here and Sister Trillium will be the next sharer. Okay, cảm ơn.
Sorry, I just try.
I think
I think this one. Sister Xuqing, can you maybe share with me for my handphone, as in allowing me to show?
Sorry, Sister Jane. Yeah, can you start the video?
Yeah, let me try again. Can't start it.
We cannot see the image yet. Sorry. It's okay. Let's see.
Hang on.
Sister Jane, you can, maybe you can try again. Actually, it was working just now, handphone. We try again.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to find my.
Or maybe Sister Lisa can continue speaking.
Okay, hang on.
Finish already.
Okay, I think never mind. Let's resume back to the book cafe.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Sister will be the next sharer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Lim Chi Lian from Singapore. I started Tzu Chi as a Renwen Zhen San Mei volunteer, and in about 2002, and all these years, I think I have learned a lot through this Renwen Zhen San Mei. And I started also the Xun Fa Xiang in 2014 with Sister Lisa. We are always the pair going together. Yeah, she's just near, stay about 1 kilometer away from my house. So initially I went to pick her, and now because we come to Jing's cafe, books and cafe. So she walks to Jing's, she walks to the Jing's cafe for Xun Fa Xiang. I think for the past 3 years, I myself have learned a lot from this Xun Fa Xiang. From it's just like slowly, our mind will be become very calm and cool and calm, and then when whatever things that come to us, we are able to look at it and handle it properly, and especially. Through all these days of Xun Fa Xiang, I really can see, number one, I can see the great compassion of Master. Every time she talk about suffering, or she talk about she talk about the disaster, and then she also talk about the volunteer. I can feel that she, we can feel that her compassion is always, is always there, and then sometimes she can feel so sad, and she can't continue talking. And at that moment, I can feel with her. Like initially when I started Renwen Zhen San Mei, I'm the reporter. I write articles. My question is, why Tzu Chi people do so little? Why we need to report? But somebody told me that, because in this world, the media are always reporting the bad things. And then in Tzu Chi world, we are all doing good things to help people. And then all these good things, good deeds has to be reported and show it to the world. And slowly through these years, I really learned a lot. Just like recently, Master is talking about this the father as a doctor and with the children. We can really see that in Tzu Chi world there are so many people that come in, and then it's great that we can see a lot of people are devoting into Tzu Chi mission, but there are also still people like. It's an onlooker, come in, go out, come in, go out. Or even they come in, they just as an onlooker rather than the participant. Yeah. So I feel that it it is a pity that when the master is here, she's so enthusiastically and so diligently, every day give us Dharma. But and then I really feel that I'm very fortunate, and it's a blessing that to be able to listen to Master every day. And those people who are just onlooker, it's just like, there's a medicine they don't take, and then they still query. And maybe one day when the Dharma is not here, then they start to regret. I think that is the greatest regret in life. And from the recent under Xingping, like talking about my daughter since young, and master teaching that we shouldn't do 10 things in the under Xingping, like do not go with those with butcher and all those things. And then there's one that we do not keep pets. And then my daughter since young, she like to keep, Mommy, can I keep a dog or cat or whatever? I always say no. Yeah. And then she, I mean, she's quite obliging. She said, okay. And then last night she actually came to me and said, Mommy, can I have a rabbit in my room? I say actually, Master teach us not to keep any pet. He say, I told her, number one, because that if you keep the pet in your room, it will be very dirty. I mean, when they're young, they are very cute and then very nice. But they will shit, they will urine, and then they will dirty the place. And then if you are sleeping in the room, it won't be very. I mean, also the animal will spread diseases. So I think it's not very good to keep the pet. And I talked about the 6 rim. One is the animal rims. I say if you are too attached to the animal, maybe in the next life you may become animal. Do you want to be that? Then she said, okay. Now the understanding. I say the master teach us, we have to listen. Yeah. Okay. So I think now she said, yeah. I will listen to you, Mommy. I think now I understand why you keep on do not allow us to keep the pet. And today, Master also talked about the ants and the human being. Yeah, the ants maybe have 1 or 2 days life, but we maybe have 70, 80, even to 100. So that relates to whether the Buddha is always there. The Buddha never go away. But it's only because we are in this realm that we cannot see whatever in the world of other realms, like ants cannot understand a human being, that for their 80 years, for them only 2 days, is their whole life. Yeah. So actually, when all this, it reflects on, it shows that, Dharma, the Buddha's teaching is is in the teaching. Yeah. And I also in Tzu Chi we also believe in affinity. Yeah. Good affinity, but I always believe that everything happen for a reason. And recently, I mean, for the past 1 or 2 years, because me and Lisa go to Sri Lanka very often, and for the past 1 year plus, and there are so many happenings in Tzu Chi. Of course, somebody has done something, and then it affects the whole Sri Lanka mission and the management. However, over the period, I think both of us are really calm and facing it. I always think that because of over the in the process that we have been mindful and done our best, and whatever happened is really happened for a good reason. So though I over the time there are a lot of saying here and there, but they really didn't affect us very much, and it actually make us to be more diligent, to make sure that we are more mindful in whatever we do and in whatever we say. So these are things that if I do not come to Xun Fa Xiang, I think the way we handle things, it will be otherwise. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to be in the same time with our with our master, and to be with to learn Dharma, to have opportunity to learn Dharma every day. In fact, if we want to learn Dharma every second, no problem. And all this Dharma teaching, it can be applied to our daily life. That is the greatest that the teaching is. So I is really grateful for everybody, and especially the Brother Joe and the English team that through this English explanation, we can even have a much better understanding, and then we are able to use this one to share with the Sri Lankan people. So really grateful for everybody's effort, and we'll continue to be part of the team. Thank you so much.
Sister Sutra, you may take back the control. Thank you so much.
Okay, cảm ơn. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, back to Hoa Lian. Cảm ơn.
Okay, great. Thanks for today, the sharing from Singapore. I know Sister Trady and Lisa, both of them are very senior and very experienced volunteers. And thank you for giving us and lending us your wisdom and your view about Xun Fa Xiang and how it has changed the lives and those around you for the past 3 years. Just like what Lisa said, I think whether it's going to be 1 million or 2 or maybe even more beyond that, I'm sure it's on the horizon. It's definitely coming. But I think for everyone, it served as a great purpose for us to open another door to the infinite sutra treasure, because of how our intention is. If our intention is to try to help them or bring kindness and compassion to the world, then they will definitely feel that the sincerity, and then they will be able to be moved by your intentions, and also they would also be able to follow through. So I'm sure that's what we had to do, and there are many different ways to make it happen: skillful means, or direct means, or anything. And I think that's what Master was trying to do with setting that 1 million as a goal, making sure that all of our disciples are always diligent in pursuing something, pursuing this goal. And in the process, we will find out a lot more about ourselves as well as the world. And we will be a lot more aware of the world around us, the people that are different from us, and the people that are ultimately the same with us. And I think it goes into the 4 wisdoms, where always gives us something that is concrete and tangible, that is in the wisdom of accomplishment, something that we can see and accomplish, right? 1 member, 2 members, 3 members, 100, 5,000, etc., right? And then it goes into the wondrous observation, the very keen observation to observe the differences. Oh, wait a minute. So it's easy for me to talk to the people that I am very similar to, but there are people that are very different. So how do I talk to them? How do I find the similarities among all of ourselves? And then we will be able to find not just the similarities and the differences, but also that innate Buddha nature. And this Buddha nature doesn't mean that you're a Buddhist, but it just means that we all have that inherent kindness and compassion within all of ourselves, and the inherent wisdom. And thanks to Sister Trading for her sharing about and her sharing about the pet. I think that was one interesting way to apply the Dharma to the children and tell them no pet, because Master says so. No, well, not that. But you have to explain. You have to explain to them in the words that they will understand, because children, when they look up to the parents or when they listen to their parents, they're just like, different kind of realm, or different kind of people, where different kind of animal, where they don't understand what we're saying. So that's something that that's why it was that would be very difficult to understand. But in any event, I think Brother Eric says it best. When at first we are unwilling to, when unable to see the video, he said, "Let us see with our ears." And I think Brother Eric to put on the chat for everyone to see, in that, yes, there are going to be times when certain things will fail us. It won't always be so smooth. And I'm sure Sister Tradian must know that in Sri Lanka, there are plenty of times when things don't go smooth. And I'm sure Sister Lisa would also know that as a pioneer of Tima, things don't always go smoothly. But how do we turn what happens into something of a wisdom? That really depends on if we're able to receive as much teaching as we can through every day when things are going smooth. So that's why Master said, when we are thirsty, that's when we are seeking the water. But don't wait until we're thirsty, right? Drink regularly and always be replenished with fluid. That's how we should go about things. Not when we are missing water and we go out and long for water, that's already too late. But I think Master, as well as the Buddha, was telling us that that's how sentient beings are. And for us to experience it once, we would be smart enough to remember, and maybe we won't make the same mistakes again. So that's why the Buddha appeared to enter nirvana. Hopefully that one time is enough, that we would cherish the Dharma after he had appeared to enter nirvana. And let us hope that with our Master, we don't wait until it's way too late to regret and to learn this very, very valuable lesson that Buddha had already shown us. But let us not wait until that mistake happened again, that we don't cherish it until it's already too late with our dear Master. So thank you again for today's sharing, wonderful sharing all around. And next week, many of you will be coming back to Taiwan, and I will welcome all of you here with open arms. I may not be here, but we'll have to see. But in any event, our sessions will continue for the next 2 weeks, and Brother Yoping will be here to share with, and Sifu will be here to share with you the continued reviews. So it will not be interrupted. We will cherish it. There are going to be uncertainty in the future. But as always, let's try to make the age of right Dharma come back. And that starts with you and I. So thank you again. And this has been another great, wonderful session online. So thank you. And Sister Chachini, please take over. Thanks.
Cảm ơn Brother Joe, Sister Lisa, Sister Chilian, Sister Jane, Sister Jing for all the last minute help on getting all these great Pusa to share. Okay. 感恩 all Pusa for sharing lots of life wisdom today. Thank you, Pusa, for your presence today. Hope that each of us could sustain the Dharma joy and takes in another piece of Masters and Hualian love to our life. Let us please make 3 bows to the Buddha and Master Zhen Yan as we depart to apply these teachings in our daily lives. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life, universal truth. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Thank you, Pusa, for your presence. Cảm ơn.